Hi, listeners! Welcome back to Bingkai Suara, your favorite channel discussing songs, the musicians, and the stories behind them. And I'm Luciana, and today I bring you an interesting topic. It's about love, that love can strike anywhere, anytime. It just click, it happens like that, just like that. With the one and only authentic singer and songwriter from Jakarta, Rasyiqa is on the line. Hello, how
Hi,
are
hi,
you?
hi. Hi, Bingkai, Karya, Bingkai Suara.
Yeah,
Thank you
guys.
for having me today.
Well, by the way, I see sewing machine behind you.
Yes, you are seeing it right. A sewing machine
What you doing?
here, a
Mm-hmm.
guitar. This
Yep.
is actually, well, I haven't announced it yet, but
Mm-hmm.
this over here, the background, it's intentional. I'm using it today because this is a little bit of hint of my upcoming album.
Oh wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's super interesting. It
And
should
you
be
guys are the first
creative.
time to ever see this. You guys are
Wow.
the first
Such an
ones.
honor. Well, we're so happy to have you here, Rashika, so that now we can talk about the magic of love, the beautiful feeling of falling in love, and also the hesitance of telling or addressing or confessing the feeling, just like you have written in your song, just like that. But before that, let's talk about you as an artist because you're such persistent, and I could say that you are a dreamer. Maybe your story can be an inspiration for the listeners out there. So, Rashika, you spent about 4 years working behind the scenes in the music industry, right? But now you are here in front of the camera, you're on the stage with your own song. So, what was the moment that made you realize you needed to step up to the mic yourself?
All right. Sometimes whenever people ask me this question, I know what I want to say, but sometimes it gets very, very messy. But I'll try my best to actually answer this question. So, I guess 4 years of me working behind the scene I previously had a A&R job role before in a record label. Now most of the days I'm actually a music publicist. Um, but I guess the reason why I kind of took the opportunity back in 2021 is I found a group of friends who are very supportive of me. And during that time, they were working on this EP called It's Always Sunny. It consists of a few independent musicians like Ringo Five, Cello Sucks, Angelana, Luzerne, and two producer friends of mine, one of them being Ramaharto. And I never actually went to them to like, hey, I have a song. Hey, I'm a musician too. No, I was actually invited by them while they were working on this EP as a consultant. So basically, when they wanted to distribute their music, they asked me to help out. So I did. I helped up with the press release and etc. And we spent a lot of time hanging out together and talking about music. And one of the person who is in this group at the time was Cello Sucks. So I've been friends with Cello for like since 2020. And he always shows me up like with his music releases, his demos, and etc. And one day, I kind of showed him like, hey, I have this chorus that I've been singing in the shower.
Okay.
And actually, I never actually written like a full song during that time. It's always like voice memos. And I never actually continued that song until I sent it to him and a friend of mine. And her name is Sade Susanto. She's also a musician. And Sade came back to me with a verse. And wow, it could actually be a song. I think that was like October 2020, but we never really actually touched that song until July when in a random 3 a.m. Discord session between me and Cello, he just finished writing a new demo. And I think he was on some sort of like sugar rush or something because he wasn't able to sleep at the time. And he told me like, hey, do you want to work on your song? So he just like made the drums, fill in some guitars while we were on Discord because it was during the pandemic, right? And I could actually easily say to him, like, dude, I want to sleep. but I didn't. And I guess this is like the best choice, the best decision I had in my life. Because somebody told me like nothing good happens after 2 a.m. I quote that from How I Met Your Mother. But turns out this is that one thing that actually led into something great. So I guess I I never thought of myself like releasing an album or some songs, but I always wonder why. Because when I was a kid, I always loved singing. I took a few lessons, including vocal lessons. But I kind of like dig a hole towards that dream of being an idol from Indonesian Idol, or like being in a band, being a rock star. Because there was a part of me that thought to myself like, nah, I think you don't have what it takes. But and then because I think during that time I already started working, so I have like a few money that I kind of like, you know, maybe this is the one thing I could try to spend when I turn 25. Well, in 2021, I turned 25. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to give myself a birthday present, which is a song that I'm going to release just for myself, for my own sake. But after a while, after I released it in September, I also sent a press release to people by saying in a body email, I remember, dearest outlets friends, please allow me to share you this release, which is for myself. And I remember a lot of like editors replying that email and saying like, what, this is really good. And some people, when I attend music events, they come up to me and say like, I think you should continue this, because most of them are like millennials or early Gen Zs who probably grew up with MTV and Channel V during early 2000s. So they kind of relate to that kind of music, which is like pop rock. So yeah, I decided to like, maybe I'll release a few other songs in the next year. And I never intended to release an EP or an album, but after a while, like after the three first songs or the fourth song, I realized that all of the songs has a certain red lining towards it. It's still talking in the same stuff. It's purely myself ranting like I'm writing a diary. So I guess like, I think to end that phase, I need to release an album. So I guess to put it out, what made me decided to pick up the mic and releasing music is, I think it's my version of coping with what happened, which is heartbreak in my mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
The experience of having to work with friends, it's a feeling that I really want to keep. So I decided like I want to do more with it.
Yeah. You said that you've liked singing since you were a kid. Okay. And then actually, I mean you've liked
Yes,
since you were a kid.
yes.
Right. And then you do a vocal lessons, some stuff, right? You actually already have the spark inside you. And how do you keep that spark until now? How could you keep the light on for a long time? I mean, people have their ups and downs, the insecurities, how you overcome the insecurities inside you.
I guess I wouldn't say that spark has always been light up and it never fades out. It does have I guess there are some things that I went through in the phases of my life, especially when I was growing up during college years, or a few years when I first landed my first job. That light actually kind of disappeared, or like in a way it's not disappeared. I would say it was toned down, because then I think I kind of like I went through some stuff that I was enjoying more, which is working behind the scenes. Like maybe for me to get there, I need to know what kind of things that happens behind the curtain. Like I would say all of the things that I went through with the jobs, with the volunteering gigs I had to apply every now and then, had led me into like, it kind of built towards what I needed to prepare if one day, which is right now, I'm releasing my own music. So I think it's this will sound a bit cliche, but I guess um, you know, it's also a mix of a right timing, I guess.
Okay, and who actually inspired you at the first time to become a musician when you were a kid?
Honestly speaking,
Yep.
Britney Spears.
Oh
I
wow.
wanted to be a pop star by then.
So
I
it's
wanted
like
to be a pop star.
2000 era, right?
Yes,
Britney
I have a few
Spears.
faces. I have a few faces.
Uh-huh.
When I was a kid, probably in elementary school, I wanted to be a pop star. Junior high, I met the pop rock emo bands like Fall Out Boy. No, I want to be in a band. I want to be a rock star. I want to be a lead vocalist, or maybe I'll play the bass. Never happened though. And
We
then
don't know
during
yet. We don't know yet.
oh
Maybe one day
maybe
it will
maybe
happen.
maybe maybe. And during high school, I think I went through a phase where I was more of leaning towards like the folk singer songwriter. So it's the spectrum of the music taste I listened to during this phase has kind of shaped me. So music has been there, for a long time.
You want to be a pop singer, a rock star, many kind of genre. You mentioned yourself. How how are they shaped your style of music right now?
I guess what I can say is for the songs in the upcoming album and also the ones I released, I think sound wise, I can't lie. And people always say, yeah, your songs are very 2000-ish. But the thing is, I grew up with that. So I think what my music at the moment is trying to convey is, hey, this is a statement. These are the kind of songs that little me uh, would wanted me to have
Mm.
uh, if I ever had the chance. So in a way, all of this 8 songs I released, including Just Like That, is some sort of like an ode to little Rasyiqa, actually, in terms of like sonic wise. And I guess what inspires like lyric, I wouldn't say like I'm a good songwriter yet, but I guess having to be honest about myself on the things that I feel or experience towards the lyric, the approach, I think that kind of influenced me. And in a way, besides music, I think I grew up with a lot of TV shows. So I always imagine myself like, if I were to have a single, it has to be like something uh, that would play in the background if I'm walking towards uh, somewhere, or if I'm, standing in a corner in a crowded party and etc. It has to sound like me. Like I have to envision myself in a movie scene or a TV series scene. I think that's the most important part that kind of influenced my music in a way.
I do agree that your music sounds like 2000 era. And, I believe that there must be something great when you try to listen to your inner soul, your child version of yourself. That must be something great happen. And your songs are honest and personal. When I listen to Reckless, it's about complexity of relationship. And then you talk about experience of being an adult in Get Up, Get Out. Okay. Actually, what do you really want to say through your music, Rasyiqa?
Um, if I have to be honest, it's just like what I want to say is I can actually convey these feelings in a song, but I guess um, I feel like growing up, I've always been like a sidekick towards the friend group that I'm in. I've never feel like a main character of my own for the longest time. And I think during the time when I hit 25, I try to think about more about myself. This doesn't sound like selfish in a way,
No,
um,
no, no.
but but I think I want people to relate that you can always be your own main character if you choose to be it.
Yeah,
I
you're
guess
right.
that's what the record is about. It's about from a storyline. Reckless is actually also besides about a relationship or a situationship actually. it's a song that kind of like a very introspective song where I kind of talk to myself, like um because there are some lyrics in a song about me embracing like maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm reckless, maybe I'm afraid of this guy if I confess to him. Like I know it's a bad idea, and I know pursuing it is a bad idea. Therefore, I am reckless to actually still trying to pursue this relationship. But then again, in the track list later on in the album, it kind of fits like a storyline between this one reckless girl to actually finding her self-love. Like eventually at the end of the day, the only person that she really needs to love is herself, because she is the main character in her life.
Wow. When we start to think about ourselves, that's not a selfish. It sounds selfish, and sometimes we feel like, oh my god, I'm so selfish person. But it's actually not. It's just a way, our way to love ourselves, I guess. And this one, just like that, it must be special because this is the first time you do a duet
Yes,
with
yeah.
Dennis Ferdinand. And when I listen to it, it's about two people who fall in love with each other, but they don't dare to confess their feeling, right? And you also add message. Sometimes love is not as complicated as it seems. What is actually the story behind that? Can you share with our listeners, Rasyiqa?
The story behind just like that. Actually, the word "just like that" is the answer, but um like how sometimes people overthink whenever they want to confess their feelings towards a person that they knew for the longest time. Because some people think about like, oh, he or she is my best friend, I don't want to ruin this friendship, blah blah blah, but there's a connection between you two. Like even if you try to walk away, every simple thing that this person does, you will come back to them, because they are the ones who stayed with you you know And I guess for a lot of people, I know that some people like the chase whenever they're pursuing someone before starting a relationship. And sometimes that chase could be like very exhausting, right? But I guess I just want to remind people that sometimes the chase and the thrill is just temporary. Go chase something that stays with you, because love should be simple, just like that.
Wow. You mentioned that you like to journal. You write a diary,
Yeah, I
isn't
do.
it?
I do.
Yeah. And I really like the songwriting. Your songwriting is clear and simple. Somehow it's straightforward, it's direct, but it feels so close and it feels so honest. How is the process of doing the songwriting, Rasyiqa?
Um, Honestly, for me, I don't think it. I think the key is not to overthink it.
Just like
but
that.
but but I'm always interested to learn and to use sentences that are way beyond our everyday sayings. But I think at the moment, me as somebody who just started to do music and start songwriting by her own as well with her friends, I think my mechanism when I write lyrics is sometimes I write it in my notes. As an overthinker, sometimes it's good to journal, but sometimes it's also good to like whistle or like humming a certain melody that can actually translate to whatever you're feeling. Sometimes my mechanism is I find melodies first and then I find the lyrics, because I know by having the melody, I already know what kind of scene, what kind of vibe, what kind of message that I want to say through the songs. And then I write the lyrics. But some songs that I've written previously also started with lyrics. And I don't really overthink or try to filter them, because I feel like at this point at the moment is just being very direct with it.
Wow, so that's interesting the way you try to produce your songs. You can start by the melody first, but some other time you start by writing the lyrics first. And in this song, just like that, Personally, I think that you describe the vibes perfectly, like the vibes of falling in love with people. Um, when you writing your songs, are all of them based on your own story, or do you include other people's story in your song, Rashika?
I would say at this phase, it is all personal. However, there is this one song that I released. It's called 2:15, which is a time, 2:15 in the morning. But I written an additional title, which is Steph's song. So that song was actually triggered. Uh, I think it came from my personal story about this person that I do not know where we stand. Are we in a relationship, or are we having just like, friendly situationship? I don't know. But then a very close friend of mine she had a similar experience with it. And I think her story is far beyond sad than mine. I mean, like, hey, I just got my heart broken for the first time, and she probably has this situation over and over again. I don't know, but it affected her a lot. And I finished the song like trying to write from her perspective, like how I feel whenever I hang out with a guy, and we hang out until like in the morning, but at the same time, you found out that you're not the only person that this person is seeing. So I never had that experience. So I kind of pick up her story, and this makes sense in the chorus because if it hurts more than what I was experiencing.
Wow. I heard the single Just Like That will be included in your next album that will be released in August. Reckless, right? Will you tell us a little bit about Reckless?
Yes. Mm, I guess Reckless is a record that I've worked on for like since 2022, I guess. It was supposed to be released sooner, but I guess there were just some things that I needed to focus my attention on last year, so I postponed it to this year. And thank God, because now I have a lot more of a headspace to focus on this release. So Reckless, it's the name of my first single because I feel like throughout of the songs that I written for this record, the one thing that describe it is just simply reckless, because all of these songs happen because I was in that position, which is being reckless with my own self, with my feelings, not being honest towards what I want people to know about me or how I feel. Yeah, so I guess that's to someone reckless is about, I guess, for the record. But again, I feel like Reckless needs to be released with the title Reckless just so I can move on to my next phase, which is like all of the songs that I release, it follows like, in a way, this is not a coincidence. No, sorry, it is a coincidence, not a coincidence. But it's funny because I treat my songs in a few phases. So the first three songs, Reckless, Get Up, Get Out, and I've Had Enough. I would say these three songs as a single represented how confused and angry I was towards what happened. But then again, the following year, I released 2:15, the one that I told you about my friend. There's a song that I dedicated to a person that I really admire, not romantically, called A Song for Someone Else, which is kind of like showcasing myself as a person who could actually write sad girl type beat kind of songs. It wasn't angsty. It wasn't angsty. And there was a song called Waiting on Fireworks, which is more hopeful, that kind of like signaling that, you know what, I think I'm going to let go. I'm just going to watch the New Year's alone, seeing all the beauties while I wait for this person who will appreciate me as a person. And then I released Two Shades of Blue, which actually marked the first time I released something that is not sad, that is not angsty, but happy and in love. So I guess these songs as a single release to like what my situation currently. So it's kind of funny.
Wow. That's nice. I mean, your songs is the journey of your life, represents the journey of your
Yes,
life.
reckless. It is the journey of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, the interesting thing about just like that is the video.
You've
You
watched
know?
it already? I just released it
Yes.
today.
Yeah, yeah. I have watched it already. And I couldn't stop smiling because it's very cute. Like, oh my God, the cuteness is overload. And I read somewhere that you collaborate with the film animation program
Yeah.
on one of the campus in Jakarta. Is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
um, it was a perfect timing, basically. So, I just finished just like that, recording it with Dennis, last year. Was it in September or August? I forgot. And there were these college kids, and they happened to have like a final project that was required in their university. Shout out to Universitas Media Nusantara, women, where the film students have to collaborate with the animation students to make a music video. So they were separated by three groups. One of the groups being Soda Gembira. That's what they called this production house. And then they needed an artist, a song for them to make a music video. So when they approached me and told me that it's going to be semi animated, my thought was like, oh, this is perfect. I've always wanted to make a cartoon character of me.
Wow.
And I told them, like, in 2D, you can pick up my character because I had a music video I think a few years back where I kind of try to make it as if I'm a character towards like a rom-com or a sitcom. I was wearing a high school uniform with a denim jacket. And I told them, like, you can pick up from where this music video left off. So they try to make it like, oh, Rasyiqa, the cartoon character that the protagonist of the music video is obsessed with. So I'm very grateful that the college student kids has this project, and I'm really satisfied with how my character and Dennis as a
Mm-hmm.
cartoon character turned out. So I told them, like, I know you guys are gonna have like straight A's with this, but what if I actually pick this up as a full-on music video? This was before we had the shoot. So I think before that I had an agreement with them that, you know what, let's produce this together because I like the idea. I like how they went to me and gave me the updates on the animation, like, and this is something that I grew up with. I watched Lizzie McGuire growing up. So if somebody told me, like, this gives me Lizzie McGuire vibes. Yes, in a perfect world, Lizzie McGuire and I will meet in a very special TV episode.
It seems like universe helped you.
Yes.
Everything is just perfectly meets on the right time. Thank you, Rasyiqa, for coming to Bingkai Suara and share your story. It must be really good for an inspiration to the listeners out there. And listeners, don't forget to check out her songs, especially just like that on your favorite music platform. And we can't wait for your next album, Reckless. You have to come here again.
Yes. What if I come there in person next time?
Sure, approved directly by Mas Rizal.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. I would love to go to Malang, and I forgot what's the name of the drink, but you guys have really good, like, the small cups that contains green apple with it. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, the small
Yeah, 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 yeah.
sari apple
Yes, one of the Kodiak
something.
kids gave me like a whole box of it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, the last time I went to Malang. So that was really good.
Yep, that's so fresh. Thank you, Rasyiqa. See you next time and have a nice
Thank you
day.
so much. Bye.
Bye.